All right, we're live.
I love to hear if there's anybody watching this live, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or here in the app. You ever fished tournaments before? And when you fish those tournaments, I think you get a lot of information from a tournament. Well, number one, you get a lot of information about yourself. You get a lot of information about how you reply, how you respond to stress. You get a lot of information about fisheries. And in my mind, fishing tournaments is a revolving door of taking in information. And I think if we process that information in a really good way, I think it enhances our tournament experience. I think it enhances a lot of deeper level things. I hope we get to talk about here tonight. The Straight Up Fishing app, this year we decided to sponsor two anglers. That's Brian Barty and Ken Pfeiffer, the two guys you see here in the panel. And they just fished their first BFL on the Potomac River. And so what I want to do tonight is we're going to do what I call debriefing. We're going to talk about their tournament experience. Just let them explain kind of what went down, how they came about what they decided to do for the tournament, and what we can do with that information moving forward. So if you're a tournament fisherman, this is going to be a great place for you to spend some time tonight, because really and truly every tournament, I don't care if it's at the Potomac River, I don't care if it's in Florida, South Carolina, or wherever you're having a tournament, you break down water and you analyze water with the same process. You may not do the same things, you might not use the same lures, the same process, but how you analyze and deal with that information that you get from a tournament is the exact same. So Barney Pfeiffer, the first one's under the belt, boys. First one under the belt. So
Yeah.
obviously I want to talk about it. I'd like to start from the beginning on this. Tell me about tell me about practice. Tell me about we can just start there with practice. And I really want to get into just what the BFL tournament experience was like as a whole. Is that something you'd like to do more of? Is that something you'd encourage more people to do? Or is it something like, man, I don't know about this thing? I'd love to hear about it just from a bird's eye view first, and then we'll get into some details. Let's start with you, Barty, and then we'll go to Ken.
Sure. So for me, I started 2 months ago, right? I started
Yep.
reading books, looking at the maps, looking at results, watching videos, putting in waypoints. So I use the Lorentz app, and and then I sync it to my fish finders. So I'd sit on the couch and just kind of pick waypoints, and I probably had 150 waypoints. Too many, right? Way too many.
Right? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and then I got together way too many, but it's such a big body of water, and I didn't know where I was going to end up. So I was like, I
Right.
wanted to make sure if I ended up somewhere, I at least had a couple of places to start with. So I enjoy that, the research. And then
Right.
Ken and I got together Wednesday. I drove Wednesday. Yeah, well, I think we went on the water Wednesday and then Thursday and Friday. And we practiced, and Ken is from Virginia, so he showed me some spots, and that was awesome because you put them on the map, but that's not the same as being there, right? Seeing the
It's not the
grass, seeing
same.
the structure, seeing the stained water, moving water, tides, just so many variables that you could see. Um, so yeah, I felt pretty good in practice. I mean, we caught fish, we found places. It was pretty awesome. We had a couple of great days. I mean, the weather was great. There was no wind. Um, Friday was a little rainy, but and then the tournament came around and we had a cold front come through and we had a small craft advisory. So
No,
that changed.
not on tournament day. There's no way
Yeah,
that would happen.
right.
That never happens. Never happens.
So yeah, that changed a lot. I mean, that's what we did, and I felt good. Actually, I thought I was going to be really nervous about just the size of the tournament because I'd done club tournaments, 10 boats, 15, 20. You get to the ramp and everybody's cordial and you put your boat in, no big. How do you get 75 boats in? And then I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
there and I was like, oh, I get it. You go up, you get in this parking spot, you get your boat ready, you go down, and it's like clockwork. I mean, it's
Yeah.
actually better than a
Way better.
weekend. Go out on a
Way better.
Saturday and
Yeah.
it was way better. So that didn't bother me at all.
Everybody's there with a
Yeah,
purpose in tournaments. So like
exactly. And they
everybody's
know what they're
everybody's there with a
doing.
purpose. There's no lollygagging. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was my leading up to the tournament.
Gotcha.
And I'll let Ken go leading up to the tournament, and then I'll talk about the tournament, unless you
Yeah.
want me to talk
So,
about it now.
yeah. Well, let's hear what Ken. Ken, what about you? Give us like a bird's eye view practice, and since that's your home body of water, it probably was a completely different experience than what it was
Yeah,
for Barty.
yeah. I mean, what I felt it was my responsibility to help him as far as he's coming here, and I know we talked on the phone before he came down, and he was telling me about this research and going all these places, and I wanted to try to reduce that and say you only really need through 2 or 3 creeks. It's all you really
Yeah.
need. And so I felt it was my job a little bit because I do have club. I joined a club and they do bass fishing, and I get a ton of invites to be able to fish on non-tournament days. So it works out really
Mhm.
good. I was able to fish probably 10 times on the Potomac before the tournament. So
Right.
what was really nice is most of the guys would take me somewhere. I said, I want to go see what the grass looks like down in Quantico. Let's go down there and let's go check Aquia. Let me see what the grass to try to have all this information before Barty came into town. And
Right.
because the Potomac River is all about the grass.
That's
Wherever
all it's
there's good
about.
grass, that's where they're going to be. So you're trying to find that places. And I felt really good. I narrowed down about 5 places, I think, to show him. And I was very pleased with myself in the sense that everywhere we went, we caught fish. So it sort of validated me that I knew something about what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So
That
so I
scares me. Hey,
yeah.
when I go practice and I start catching fish everywhere I go, I'm like, hey, what are y'all trying to do to me? Hey,
Well,
it's like what's going on? It's
it,
like
it,
what are y'all
Brian.
about? What do I got
right.
coming?
And I knew the fishing was good at that time of the year because I just fished a club tournament the weekend before, and it's 15-inch limit, and everybody in the club had a limit that came in at the end of that tournament. So
All right.
the fishing was good, and so I felt confident. I felt good that the spots I told him, and I think he realized. I think he got a lot of information, and I
Yeah,
said the reality is I would just pick 1 or 2 spots that you want to fish in, and then try to use that Friday before the tournament just to dissect it and say, what's happening here? Where are the drop offs? Where are the hard structures? Where are the grass? And really, Brian, anywhere you go in the Potomac River that you're catching fish, you could probably stay there within that half-mile section for the whole day and catch
Yeah.
fish. So I don't think you need to run all over the place. And my thing is always every time you make a half-hour run, that's a half hour back. That's an
Yeah.
hour of fishing that you probably could have been throwing lines out.
Hey,
So
Right.
uh,
Brian.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, just some comments and questions coming up in the chat. Can
Okay.
can we get kind of a who, what, when, where? When was this tournament? Where was it? And who was the boater? Who was the co? There's some of the questions that are kind of coming up. So,
Yep.
um,
I guess some people missed the intro here. So we're talking with Brian Barty, Ken Pfeiffer. Barty, raise your hand. Barty's boater. This is the two guys that we sponsored in the Straight Up Fishing app this year. We ran a sponsorship program, just looking for people inside the app that are just active, looking to tournament fish. And these two guys won it. Ken, raise your hand there. Ken, fish co-angler. Just so happened the two guys that end up winning the sponsorship package are from the same general vicinity of the country, kinda. But they're fishing the same division of BFLs this year, and this first tournament was on the Potomac River. Um,
May
Let me
10th.
see, May 10th. Yeah, just was that 2 weeks ago? Or was that just last weekend? At the same time, I was
2
fishing
weeks.
Pickwick, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It's
Yep.
8 days ago. Is that right? May
Yeah,
May 10th.
You were
some
practicing, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
same week that when I was practicing. There was something I was about to ask, and I forgot what it was after we got to that part. What was it? Um, Barty, you said something about finding a bunch of waypoints that I wanted to hit on. So I went. I remember the first time I went to the Potomac River, I did the same thing. Same thing. I like I was finding stuff way down, probably that was in salt water. I was all the way up down, way up by DC looking
DC.
at stuff, and I was ready to go. Keep in mind, I done seen this place. I done watched tournaments here since I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. So I was excited to to try all that stuff that I've been watching for 20 years. So I can relate to marking spaces, and then you get there. For one, let me know this. What did you think about the body of water just in general? Because I'll tell you what I thought about it.
I wasn't surprised at it. Like
Was it?
I did enough research because I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be big. Um,
Yeah.
a couple big lakes up here that I fish, but I think the biggest thing that I took away is there's a lot of hazards and there's a lot of shallow spots. You got to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I mean, I nicked up my brand new Falcon. It's got
Yeah.
scars on the skeg now. I broke a blade on the trolling motor.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you
we had a
really?
but
Yeah.
tournament day. We had a northwest wind all night and a low tide.
Yeah.
We lost like probably 3 feet of water, maybe Ken, and it's
So it
usually a
Yeah,
blew it
foot.
all out.
Oh, it blew it all out, man. It
yeah,
was
blew it all
totally
out.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blew it out of
Th-
Belmont. Belmont was less than 2 feet. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's got some stuff in there you kind of got to watch if it blows it out that far too.
yeah.
Some stuff. Yeah, I can relate to that. So my first experience, I remember, I just didn't think it was that big. When I hear the word river, I think it's like small. Potomac is not small. In fact, it gets pretty gosh doggone rough too when the wind and the tide's doing something funky. And, I mean, if you look at, you said something about Belmont, and you think, oh, I'll just go right over to Belmont Bay real fast. I mean, it's not far, but it ain't close.
It's
Belmont Bay is
no, it's
not.
5 miles. 5 miles from Smallwood. Yeah,
Yeah, but you look out there, you say, I'll just run over to Belmont. Well, if it's hawking out there, it'll take you 20 minutes to get over there sometimes. If it's hawking.
right.
So yeah, I wasn't ready for the size of it. Um, and it's so area driven. That's the biggest thing I picked up from my first time versus my second, third, fourth, fifth time is how area driven it is. I'm used to coming from the Carolinas. I'm used to pattern fishing. And so just getting used to the just being like, no, you gotta be right here. Like, well, there's 100 boats here. No, 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 no. That doesn't matter. You gotta be right over here is where you gotta be.
Yeah,
Which I learned that after fishing Okeechobee and some of these other places, it was just like that. That took me a minute to get used to. Um, what do you, what's some, what's some takeaways that you didn't expect that now you do know? I hear that from both of you. I guess we'll start with Barty and then Ken. I know even though you fish it, there's probably still some takeaways, especially if you
oh yeah,
fish with other people. You
yeah.
you get sometimes you just see the water a different way.
Man, this tournament beat me up mentally. I mean, it
Yeah,
it beat me up mentally. The best analogy I can have is imagine this is your final and you study your butt off for two
right,
months and you take a pre-test for 3 days and you're catching fish. And this is an area, right? Because we talked about, it's an area driven lake. I have, I had one, two, three, four, five. I basically had 5 areas. I'm like, I know I can go to those 5 areas and catch fish. And then you
right.
fail the test.
Yeah.
That's how it
Um,
felt. And I'm like, man, for 2 days, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning thinking about that tournament.
yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
and, that was tough on me mentally. But then, like, so I run a GoPro the whole time. And I
Mhm.
look back at the GoPro and I'm like, I actually did most of it right. And I can tell exactly when I lost that tournament. And it's when
Yeah,
I left that good weeds and I didn't go to where I wanted to hit the jetties at Livesey. What's that one?
Lisa Vania.
Pennsylvania.
Lisa
That's
Van-
it.
Oh,
So I
there's
wanted to
Lily's
hit
over
those
there
jetties.
now.
No,
Huh.
not yet. But the
Oh.
jetties. So the jetties around the
Oh.
ramp.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so I like that, right? Throw a jig up in there and all that. So I wanted to do that.
Franklin too.
And in my head, I wanted to go to Quantico because I really liked what I saw there. And the wind scared me, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't go. And at that point, that right there, I didn't know where to go. And
Yeah.
then I went to Mattawoman, and I said, "It's just crazy out here." I actually went past Mattawoman. It was so crazy that I actually lost my bearings. Went past it and had to come back. And then we spent the rest of the tournament in Mattawoman. But I lost it up here about 11 o'clock, and the tournament was over for me at that point. I
Yeah.
just lost my confidence, and that was it. And I fished a lot, but I didn't have it. It wasn't up here.
Yeah. So I wrote down a couple things you said there. Ken, now I wanna hear what you think too. Describe what a fail would be to you. You said something. You mentioned that it feels like you failed the test. What exactly would a fail look like to you?
So my goal was to come in with 5 fish. In my
Okay,
head, and part of this is
it's fair.
I look back 12 months, and I look at my goal last year was to have in the club was to have 2 top 3 finishes.
Yeah,
And I started winning, and I came with Angler of the Year, right? And then I got this sponsorship. And then so now in my head I'm going, what's my expectation? My expectation is I come in with 5 fish. I don't care what size they are, but I come in with 5 fish. And I came in with 1.
yeah.
And
So
now, if you would have had this conversation
that
with me last Monday, I would have thought different, said something different than I do this Monday, because I've had a week to process
yeah,
it. And I
yeah,
go,
yeah,
that was the best thing that happened to me. Because guess what I
yeah.
have now? I got no expectations.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because I actually thought about that because I talked to y'all the right after the tournament, and I was ready to do this then. And then the more I thought about it, because listen, I am no stranger to this. Okay, I'm no stranger to disappointing tournament finishes. And so I remember I thought about it, I was like really ready to go like right then. And then Ken was out of town, and it actually ended up being the best thing because I thought about it. I was like, a lot of times the way I feel driving home or the way I feel 2 days after versus the way I feel a week later is completely different because tournaments are moving so fast that your brain doesn't catch up with it a lot of times. Listen to this though, Barty. Whether it's good or bad, you'll have good tournaments, and literally the same way that you feel about it a week later is not the same that you feel after you throw them fish on the scales. I don't know why that is. I have some thoughts about why that is, but I don't know why that is. But you feel different about a tournament a week later. You got time to process. There's so many things that are going on. You just mentioned something. I want to talk about this too. You mentioned about the wind. You wanted to go somewhere, but the wind. People don't realize how many little micro decisions you're making throughout the day of fishing.
It's
So many decisions. And it starts all the way, like you said, you started 2 months before. So this doesn't just happen on tournament day. It just doesn't happen during the 2 days, 3 days of practice. It sometimes happens months before. I said something on my Facebook maybe a week ago, and I'm just starting to realize this and like become aware of what's going on. Like after a tournament, I'm always really, really tired, and like for a week, I'm just like
exhausted.
just exhausted and a little irritable. And people thought I was talking about physical and being older and all. It's like no, 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 no. It's not. It's always been this way, and it has nothing to do with the tournament finish. Like I had a really successful tournament and still felt exactly like what you felt. Like you feel you've made so many decisions. You've thought about, so your brain has been on for so long. the drive getting there? Do I have enough gas? Is enough people there? Did I follow the rules? Did I get a license? Can I go there? Man, my motor sounds weird when I'm going down the lake. Do you hear that? Like all these things are going through your brain. Did I turn my live wells on? Did I call that fish? I feel like I got 6 in the live well. It's like all these things are going through your brain all day long. And so it takes you a minute to like come down for that. And that's why I think it's actually a better idea to go over these things like a a, a, m- a week afterwards instead of right after, because you're too emotional, and then also your brain just doesn't have a time to come off of those dopamine hits of just processing things for several hours, days, over and over. It takes you a minute to come back down to reality. I think for me it does. I don't know if that's your experience, and it's nothing wrong. Like when like people were trying to give me like solutions to it. It's like, no, this is nothing. It's not even wrong. It's not wrong. It's just that's just your brain processing and taking in all that information that you just got. Um, let's talk about that the feel like it failed, because you did say that, and that's very 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 valid and fair. I like the fact you set a goal like I want to catch 5 fish. That's very, and then you do the things that you need to do to catch the 5 fish. The most important thing that you talked about, I think I may have cut you off. You were getting into it. Is it may have been the best thing that ever could happen to you. Um, I tend to agree with that a lot. A lot of people can't see it that way. Um, you can sometimes getting too much success early on will give you a false impression of what it's really like, especially like from a traveling perspective. If you would have went out, let's say if you would have went out and finished third, that'd be a great tournament. But like on your first BFL, you go out and finish third, and then
And
those
then
tend to
what?
be the people. Yeah, yeah. Now what? Because realistically, like a 15th with 70 boats, a 15th to 30th place finish is a really good tournament, man. Like, don't let anybody tell you any different. With social media right now, people have a false perspective of what tournament fishing and fishing in general. You'll hear it in our community section a lot of times when we do roundtables. So I can catch 3 or 4 pounders all the time. You can catch 3 or 4 pounders, buddy. Hey, I don't know many tournaments you can't win with 3 or 4 pounders, or at least not top 10 with 3 or 4 pounders. So it's a fault. People have a false perspective because on social media, they're highlight reels. The tournament organizations don't. They can only cover the top 5, top 3. They only have we only have 5 cameras, and so when everybody else mind is watching, they're like, well, "Why didn't you do what Jake Lawrence did?" In their mind, they're like, "I can't believe you didn't do that. It was easy. You didn't see. You just went behind the dam," and they don't see all the in between. So having a little bit of gap in it, I think it gives you a good perspective on, like a realistic perspective on like what the mountain that you're climbing. This is not easy. It's just not, it's not easy. It's not easy. And the truth is, like I said, 15th to 30th place finishes, those are really solid tournament results. And tournaments you should be very, very proud of moving forward. Very, very proud of. Um, we'll go deeper into. I want to give Kenny a chance to talk about his deal. It's a whole different deal fishing co-angler too. So there's a lot of people in the app, Kenny, that I know probably are not ready to fish boat or choose not to. And so I'd love you to share just how that went. Like literally some of the mundane parts that might seem um, elementary. Kind of just give us a 401 how that goes down from the co-angler perspective.
Sure. Right. As far as a co-angler, one, I came into this tournament confident. Maybe because a lot of it because this is my home river, so I fish it a lot. I'm also a co-angler every time I'm fishing in my club tournaments and stuff. So the first thing is I would encourage anybody find a fishing club. I don't care how small or big, but
Yeah.
participate in their tournament. I think it made me very relaxed coming into this, and I didn't stress it all until the next day a little bit, but I'll talk about that in a minute here. Now it'd be interesting if when I go to St. Lawrence. I've been there once. I kind of know a little bit about it, but it'd be interesting how I feel then. But I was comfortable coming in as a co-angler. I'm like, I've done this before, and I felt confident because it's my home river. So I had an idea. I had an idea where we're going to fish. But I will say, so I got the text. We did the meeting the night before. I got the text that we were my boat was 111 from the draw, 114 boats. So we're at the end,
19.
and they told me they gave me the guy's phone number. So I called him up. I
All right.
talked to him. Kind of threw me off a little bit because he said he had a Triton aluminum bass boat with a 90 horsepower. So
Yeah.
we knew there was a small craft advisory. We knew the wind was going to be a problem. And he told me, I mean, I'm glad he told me, but he told me to wear my rain gear, even though they weren't calling for rain. He said, we're going to get wet, just going from place to place. And we did. We got sprayed, and it was nothing terrible. It was nothing bad. I'm glad he told me, so I was prepared because that a cool front came in, and it was, I think, 58 degrees when we started in the morning, but it was warming up to about 75. So it was good they did it. I asked him about storage. He said he didn't have any storage for me to put in my gear, and which is fine because I bring a waterproof bag for me. He said, you have room by your feet to put everything down. But then I asked him, is there room for my lunch and my drinks? And he said, no, he doesn't have any room for that either. So as long as I brought my own, he said, you can bring your own cooler. You can put on that. That threw me off a little bit because you start messing with my food. I get a little angry. So
Right.
I
those little boats don't have much
make
room.
sure to bring snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will eat when we fish for 9 hours. I don't miss a meal. I'm gonna eat my meal. Yeah.
Me
But
too.
it was
Yeah.
fine. It was fine. I brought my own little cooler. He had room. But that night and showing up the next day with a total stranger, not a bad thing, but he was a stranger. So even though I've been in my club and maybe I've never fished with somebody, they weren't strangers to me. I at least knew them, and I could show up in their boat, maybe fishing for the first time. So that was a little different, fishing with somebody you don't even know. You just heard his name the night before.
Yeah.
So that was a little different. And as far as my experience that morning, so he lived in the Virginia area, not far from where I live, and I was staying with Brian Barty over in Maryland. So I could have stayed home and went right here because he put in the Virginia side. The Lisa Vanian came over and met us over at Smallwood. And of course, when he showed up, he called me in the morning and he said the ramp's all backed up on the Virginia side. He's going to get there as soon as he can. The good part was we had the last flight, so he had time to get there. So that was the good part. So I did have to wait around a little while when he got there. But he showed up. He did his pre-check with his boat already, and then called me, and I told him who I was and what I looked like, and we met each other. Fine, no issues. And we got out there in time. And one thing I did do, I didn't take your advice when you said don't tie anything on because you don't know where you're going. He told me we were going to Belmont, so I did tie up some lures for Belmont, but then that's not where he started off. That's not where he started off. So I don't know if that was gamesmanship or just something. You say Belmont, and everybody's going to be at Belmont at some point. So that was
at
fine.
some point.
Right. But I will say he threw me off for the first half hour. And what I mean by that is we pulled up on a main part of the river that does really well when it's a windy day because the waves are smashing up against hard rock and stuff like that. So I was excited that he pulled into an area that I was aware of. And he pulled up, he wanted to fish a particular rock that was sticking out. So he pulls up and I'm switching my crankbait to a lipless crankbait. But before I could even finish tying it up, he's already moving.
Okay.
He wanted to fish that one rock, literally, and that was it, and move. So he moved about 3 times in 15 minutes, which kind of threw me off because I couldn't even get my lure tied. But and then he head over to Belmont, and I think he was rushed. I think he realized he felt rushed because he was late coming to the ramp, and I think he wanted to hit those spots much earlier. And I just got the sense that he ended up being a really good angler and a really good guy. He was 28 years old.
Oh,
He
gotcha.
had fished a couple years as a co-angler. This is the first year he was fishing as a boater. So I think he felt a little rushed. He was a little stressed, and then we headed over to Belmont, and then he started catching some fish over there, and we found our rhythm. I mean, I ended up being the best net man because he got a limit like in the first 40 minutes. He did really well on a lipless crankbait. And what was nice is he was, and like you said, I told Barty this earlier. You got to get comfortable having this great big river and having 20 boats all within a cast of each other in one spot. And that's how it was there. We were right next to everybody. You're kind of, working your boat through each other. And said they understand. They'll let you go by, and then you go by them. We did it back and forth. But he did something a little different, which I thought was pretty smart. And he caught some big bass, right off the bat. So I'm fishing my lipless, and I wasn't getting bites. And of course, I was trying to be confident, but it was getting to me a little bit that I hadn't caught a fish yet. And he was yanked. He yanked in about 6 or 7 before I even got a bite. But luckily, I was able to talk to myself and calm myself down and just say, we're just fishing. We're just fishing. Relax. You need one fish, and then we'll worry about the next one. And it's amazing how just relaxing and talking to myself, guess what happened? Within an hour, I caught a fish. So
self-talk is a big deal.
And I really felt good after I had one fish that counted. I'm on the board. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
My slight fear was to be skunked. I didn't want to come in with nothing. So I really calmed down after that and did better fishing. And we found our rhythm, and he was a really nice guy and really smart angler. He really knew what he was doing. And he was fishing a rattle trap, and I was fishing a different type of trap. And he even offered
like an actual Bill Lewis rattle trap. He's fishing like a He's like a Bill Lewis rattle trap.
It was red. Mine was bigger, so he had a small one. I think it was 3/8 of an ounce, something like that. It wasn't a
quarter ounce.
It wasn't that small. It was smaller. Yeah. And like I said, he even offered to let me use the other one. I was a little stubborn, I said, no, I'm good. But it worked out. And like I said, I was shook in the beginning just because, it's different, but I will say, I calmed down. I ended up with 2 fish. And he was actually working hard. He was actually trying to help me get my third. In the BFLs this year, the co-angler only needs 3 fish for a limit.
Right.
Yeah. So he was actually trying. He was genuinely disappointed that I couldn't get my third one. He goes, I feel bad you didn't get your third one. The only thing that I saw, he was very smart, and I'll tell you what he was doing over at. It wasn't Belmont, but it's the Mason Neck, that state park that's before you get to Belmont. He was fishing that area in there. Everybody else was in the grass, and he went out farther to try to get the edge of the grass. He said, and he told me this before he started catching it. He said the bigger fish are on the edge of the grass, where you can. And what he was doing, he was burning his lipless crankbait. He was burning it across the water. He wouldn't let it get bogged down in the grass. He was just burning it across the top. And it was working.
How much weight did he have, Ken? How many pounds did he catch?
I can't remember his weight, but he ended up with 28. He finished 28.
Okay. Say a good day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had 13 pounds. I think he had 13.
Okay.
13 pounds. Yeah. Yeah. He was doing real well. But those 20 boats that were all fishing inside, guess what? He brought them all out. He brought them all out.
Yeah.
And then you know what?
Everybody fishes out.
Every boat that pulled in did the same thing. They wouldn't go inside. They stayed out there where all the other boats are.
Yeah, do you remember me making a post a few weeks ago about that? Do y'all remember that? And everybody thinks, oh, Brian just being a prick. Now you see what I'm talking about. And when it comes up, when you put a few dollars on the line, everybody get you, gimme.
Yeah. You can see them. They were looking. They were paying attention when he was bringing them in.
Looking, buddy. They ain't
Yeah, yeah,
asking you questions just because they want to be friends. No, 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 no,
right.
no. They were paying attention. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The only, like I said, he was a smart kid and he was good. And the only negative that I saw was he really was disappointed with his total.
Mm.
He wanted big fish, and
yeah,
what I felt was it was either win or nothing at all. You know, he
yeah.
wanted to win, and that's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win, but I also thought he wasn't taking any joy in what he had already. You know, I
Okay.
felt he could have been a little bit more joyous that he did well. 28th, I would have been tickled pink.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and you know he
I
wanted a
think
bigger fish.
one thing I always have I've always tried to make sure the tournament organization they figure out where they want to put me results wise.
Yeah,
I just the more times I show up to tournaments, I think this is a good perspective for anybody, especially starting out with some of these tournaments like this where you travel and you move and you're going places you don't
yes,
know. I think you're winning when you show up to a body of water, you find some fish, you go back to those fish in the tournament. You either catch those fish or you figure out how to adjust to catch fish in the tournament. If you just as simple as that. I know that doesn't sound real cool and sexy and not really that elaborate. I think every time you do that, and the more times you do that over and over and over, the more you're going to enjoy it a lot more. But success will find you when you start to just find fish and go back to them. It's inevitable that at some point, it's just like the veil is going to break when that starts to happen.
yeah. That's what people tell me in my club. They say I'm doing well. They say, I'm disappointed sometimes I can't get in the top three. I'm always just on the edge, and they'll say
Sure.
it'll come. It'll just click one day. One
It's still on
day
the count, man.
it's just going to click. And they said they've all
Yeah.
been there. They've all been there. They've been, my first year, I was afraid I was going to get a nickname, one fish Ken, because that's what I
Yeah.
can, one fish every time.
Yeah.
I've gotten better, but and they said it'll just click in. And I caught fish that day. I mean, I caught fish. It's just that 15-inch limit is tough. Sometimes I
Yeah.
got 14 and a half, 14 and 3/4. I had some good 14s, but they weren't the
Right.
15. And every one of his was 15 right off the bat, so it
Right.
happens, but
So
but I mean,
one thing I
it was good. It was a good experience for me. I'm probably jumping ahead, but when you talk about the takeaways, um, what I realized after the end was, in many ways, it was the same as my club tournament. It was just much bigger.
mhm, that's it.
I had
Yeah.
the same
It is.
process. I had to get my rods ready,
Same
had
thing.
to get my tackle ready. I had to wait for my boater, and I had to get in the boat. And
Yeah.
instead of 12 of us, it was 112 boats. And like you
Yeah. Yeah.
said, I think they got 70 boats in as long as it takes us to get 12 boats in.
Yeah.
It
You know,
is. Yeah.
they were all
Yeah, it
prepared and
is.
ready to go. And like I said, other just being bigger, um, I thought it was way organized, more organized than my club weigh-ins.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
smooth. I mean, maybe because a lot of people already know what they're doing, but it was a smooth process. It was a pretty smooth process. It got done. I like that. Um, I thought, it was smooth. It was organized. I just liked all that aspect. Even though it was a huge amount of boats, it went pretty smoothly. And what I noticed too was everybody was I didn't see anybody cutthroat out there. Like, I'm not talking to you
Right.
because you did better than me, or you're going to catch some fish and I'm not. I mean, they were all nice. Hey, get in here. Yeah, there's some space in here. Come on in here. I mean, everybody I
Yeah.
thought was really nice. Now, I think that goes back to what you have mentioned before. Bass anglers are different. We're different than regular
Yeah.
people. And so we
Yeah.
were in a group of all of us the same. And that's why you're willing to talk to Bubba that you never met before over there in the boat,
Oh yeah.
because he's got a fishing shirt
Yeah.
on and you fish together, so I thought that was real good. I didn't have anybody be rude to me or nobody cut me off or anything. Everybody was very nice to you and talked to you for no reason, so
Yeah.
so
I
those
That's
think
are
because
generally
of the straight
speaking,
up
the
for
fishing
takeaways.
jersey.
they had to respect the jersey.
Yeah.
They had to respect the
Right.
swag.
Right. I was
I
proud to.
think
I was proud to display my jersey.
I think most of the time, I mean, 90. If there's 100 people, man, 97 of them are just like us. Everybody knows for the most part they're probably staring down the barrel of zero when they go out there. So in the beginning, everybody's real nice, especially in the morning. Then you come back in the afternoon, everybody's got a sob story sometimes. But
Yeah.
especially in the morning, most guys are gonna be pretty nice. They're gonna be
Yeah.
pretty nice and willing to talk to you. It's a good community to be in, quite honestly. Um, let's dig into. I want to dig into a couple things before we get out here. Mike, do you see any questions that we need to address before we go into this? I didn't. I was watching too. I don't think I really see much. That I see
I'm
conversation, not questions.
I'm trying to sort out. Tron was trying to flag me down that folks are saying something about password to register for a tournament on Facebook
No, yeah,
and some
no,
issues
no.
there.
It works. I used it today.
Well,
It's in the
yeah, it
comments.
works. Yeah, yes, that works. Okay, so let's talk about this. I really want to. So then this may be disappointing to people listening, or perhaps you two. This is just I know you two guys, and believe it or not, I'm actually not really that much concerned about breaking down the fishing part of what happened at all. We can, if you have questions about it, of course, we can kind of try to figure out, if you got questions. I think a very much more important thing than talk about, well, if you would have thrown a sinker instead of a crankbait, and because the wind blew, you should have did this. I really think you have the know-how to figure that part out very quickly. Um, Most of that stuff's pretty obvious. Sometimes you don't know going into it, especially when the wind on a tidal fishery can really jack with the fishing a lot, because the tides don't the tides are not going to be what you expected. Water is going to be dirty that you didn't expect to be dirty, and you're not till you go over there and fish it. You can't look at the weather. You can get a little bit of a guide and see how dirty or how clean the area may be, but really and truly, you got to go over there and see it before you know what happens in a wind event on tidal fishery. It's got me before. So I mean, I really think you probably can figure that out. The part that I really want to debrief and get some perspective on. We did talk about this a little bit last week when we did the round table or whatever the live we did was that last Friday. I wanted to talk about just defining what success is, and then really coming to a reality of what your tournament experiences are. Barty, we talked about this on that live, and so I'm probably going to repeat a little bit this over and over. But for everybody watching, everybody listening, including Ken and Barty here, I want you to get in your mind like what success really is to you, because it's going to be different for a lot of us. Some of us is just going to be getting to the freaking tournament altogether. If I can be honest, if I can interject my own story into these two guys' story, for the first 2 years of me fishing BFLs, maybe even first 2 or 3 years, just getting to the tournament. Like just getting the freaking entry fee paid and getting to the tournament was a big deal for me. Okay. That was a big deal. People don't believe me, but I'm telling you the God honest truth. You can ask my mom, because when I started fishing BFLs, I was still living at home with my parents. I rolled quarters, took them to the bank, put it in my bank account to pay entry fees. When I was 22, 23 years old, I wasn't rolling around talking about mom and daddy. And the funny thing is, my mom and dad could have done it and didn't do it. Like when I say I don't have money, I wasn't talking about I was poor. It wasn't poor. No, you want to do it, son? Figure it out. That's what that was. So I literally did roll quarters to fish tournaments. A lot of people don't even know what that is when I say roll quarters. What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to show y'all because people really don't know what that is. So back in the day, you would get these little things. It's like they're green, like little pieces of paper, right? You stick your money down in there and you'd fold up the end like this, and you'd have a
That was 10
roll
bucks.
of coins. Yeah,
$10
10
and
bucks
quarters.
for quarters.
Yeah.
10 bucks.
So like if you go to the gas station, you pay change, you pay cash and you get change and you put all that change in a bucket or whatever it was. I had a big bucket and I put that change in it and I would count it and I would roll quarters. I literally have rolled quarters to fish tournaments before. So to me, first years, like my idea of what success is has evolved. And the first part of the couple of years was just getting to the tournaments. And then it moved to getting to the tournaments and not having stuff tear up. like I
Mhm.
just want my boat to run. I just want my trolling motor to work. Then it got to where, you get the tournaments and, you might expect a little bit better result. Or, you may expect to finish, just get a check. Later on, it moves, and man, I really think I can top 10 into this. But I think it's good to get some clarity on what success looks like for you, and it doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be what my success is. It doesn't have to be what Ken's success is. It doesn't have to be what anybody else's idea of success is. But just get some clarity on what exactly what you're doing, because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and if you don't even know what you're out there for, it's real easy to want to quit because it's hard. It is
It's
hard.
it's a it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot from spending. You spend a lot of money. Even with sponsorship, you still spend a lot of money. You put a lot of time in it, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So it is stressful and it is hard. So if you at least got some clarity on what you're trying to do, it will give you some more focus and it gives you purpose. Um, we talked about these experiences. Okay, I want you to realize that all the tournaments that you fish contribute to whatever goal of success is for you. So you have a tournament, and I drew a little schematic, and I had all this idea to make this all out, and then I just didn't do it. Nobody wants to hear your excuses. I didn't do it. And I'll still probably do it. I'll do it in another video. You got this idea of success, right? Everybody wants success. And there's a timeline between now and success. You got now, and you got success over here, and then there's all this in between, which is going to be the tournaments that you're going to fish. So you go out and you finish tournaments, 100 boats, you finish 89, you finish 97, you finish 60 something. And it feels like that was a waste of time, that was a wasted tournament. It was a disappointment because in the beginning, that one tournament, it it it's not it doesn't seem like success. What do you mean? I was the last 10 boats. I was the last 30 boats. There's no way that's successful. That was a wasted tournament. I wasted my money and my time. I wasted all of this. But what you don't realize a lot of times in the beginning is when you fish these tournaments, those those experiences stack on top of each other. And every time you stack an experience on top of each other, you get closer and closer to success. And so you can't you can't discount. You're gonna have good tournaments. You're gonna have a lot of good tournaments, and that's gonna push you closer to success, whatever that is for you. And then you're gonna have some kind of trash tournaments too. But those trash tournaments are information, they're useful, and that stacks and gets you closer to your goal. It's all a part of it. Like it's all a part of the formula to getting success. So don't discount when you have a result that may not be what you were expecting to have. Okay. And that's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be really hard, probably. And I'll tell all about this too, because there's a couple kids. I watch kids everywhere. There's a lot of people that I don't like to say sponsor, but I don't know, just so into every year. I'll see a younger kid or something. And I've always wanted to do something like what I'm doing with y'all, but I always felt like, well, if you do that and you put them in the spotlight, it kind of puts that added pressure on them to have success earlier. It's like I don't even want to do that. So it's going to be hard for you guys to see even tournaments where the results not what you were expecting, to see it as a positive or see it as a part of the bigger picture. Probably because of this, probably because of social media. Like I tell you, when you watch tournaments online, there's 100, and when you watch an Elite Series tournament, there's 109, 110 guys. They show you 10. When you watch a Major League Fishing deal, it's 65 guys. They show you about 5 of them. You watch the Tackle Warehouse deal, there's 110 of us or so. They show you about 5 of them. And so you look at that and you're like, man, if I just need to be like that, not realizing that there was 105 son of a guns that are on their way home that finished in the same place that you did. And a lot of times, some of your heroes, some of the people you think is a bad son of a gun, they're going to the house too. So it's just really important for you to get a perspective on what finishes are, because I know, like you're gonna figure out the fishing part. I have full confidence in it. There might be a little thing here and two might need to learn to tighten up on. But I got full confidence. You're gonna figure out that part. Putting the tournament together. Barty's already done put 2 months of work in before the BFL. So I like if you're not putting in the work and just asking a bunch of questions, like thinking somebody's gonna lay in that, I'll probably be more concerned. But I see the work y'all put in, so I know you're gonna get the fishing part figured out. The part that I really struggle with, and now that I see how much I struggle with it, I see how other people can kind of fall in the same pitfall as I did, and it's like 80% mental blocks. And then it's not even a part of negligence. Lots of times we just don't even know. We don't even know. Like we don't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't. How was I going to know? Like, how was I going to know some of these things? I hadn't lived long enough yet. Like I hadn't lived long enough to know some of the things that I know now. So I really, really want to encourage you to realize that every tournament is a stack of experience. Barty, this is gonna sound crazy, I promise you. My first trip to the Potomac was 2016. I can literally remember almost everything that happened that week of that tournament. Everything. And you'll be surprised how you can replay what went back. Like, you said you caught them in practice, right? Like you had a good practice and things were working right. You're gonna save, like you put that in your safe. Because you're gonna go back to the Potomac again. Heck, you're going back in September, I think. You put that in your safe, and when you go back to the Potomac, you go in the safe, and you'll be surprised. Like when you open up that safe and you start looking at those mental notes that you made May 10th, 2025, 10 years from now, you'll be surprised how much that stuff, how clear it comes back to you. And I think it'll take that happening for you to really. I mean, you probably understand what happened, but then when you look at it 5 years, 10 years from now, maybe even September, you're like, oh, that's what that fool was talking about. You really do stack the stuff, like you really do stack it, like it stacks. Um, if you want further proof of that, you can just watch social media right now, and that's what people are fussing about, because that's how older anglers, myself, when I say older anglers, I'm in that group. A lot of people, just because they're older than me, don't want to believe that, but like I'm in that group at this point of older fishermen. That's the way we got to success for a long time, is stacking these experiences that I'm talking about. And now that stacking is shortening because of technology. So there's proof, like there's validity to what I'm telling you right there, whether I'm telling you to it the right way and the clear way or not. But keep stacking the experiences. Everything that happened this past week, put that in the safe. Hold on to that. It's going to be useful. Your tournament was not a waste. It's not a waste for both of you. It's not a waste. Those experiences, you're gonna remember the baits. You'll remember the bite. You listen. I know this sounds crazy. You can literally remember the bites. A specific bite. 5 years later, 10 years later. I can literally remember what it sounded like the first time I went to Belmont Bay. I can remember what the grass looked like where it was. So hold on to these memories, hold on to these moments that you just had. You're gonna need that again. Forget that result right now. Just remember what happened. The good and the bad is going to be useful for you. Because now you see you don't need 150 waypoints, I bet.
No, you need
I
about
bet
10.
you need about 10, and even 10 is a lot.
I
Is a
know.
lot.
Actually,
10,
I could have used,
two or three.
probably three.
Yeah,
Three would
two
have,
or three.
I could have stayed where I was and I would have been good in hindsight.
Yeah, yeah, two or three, and then if you had to use two or three, something really went bad.
Yeah.
Something really went bad. Most of the time when I go to the Potomac, I got a place that I know I want to go, and then I got a place that I hope I don't have to go to. Yeah, that's the way it usually ends up for me. I got a place I know I want to go, and I hope nobody's there, and then I got a place that I'll go, but I don't really want to, but I'll go there if I have to. And then if that don't work, then I'm done. But usually something at some point in that day, something breaks, a tide, something happens, and it ends up working out somehow. But see, even that little small point, I'm not talking about these big grandiose ideas. Even just that. Okay, Potomac River's coming in September. The whole practice now you're gonna be more relaxed because you realize I just gotta find one or two areas, not 50. You know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna calm you down a lot. Because if you got
Oh,
2 days and you're trying to find 150 waypoints, it is like, ah,
yeah.
you're
Did I
like,
put enough
oh my
gas in?
god. Yeah. You like trying to fill up gas. Like, man, you should fill up your gas when you leave for your gas tank in your boat when you leave New York, and you should probably never have to get gas till you go back to New York in your boat for Potomac. That's what I would say. You
Yeah.
probably
Can't,
shouldn't have to
no,
use that much
I mean,
gas.
I put gas. Yeah. I just learned to your point. I just want to say to your point, and a week later, I'm so grateful because again, I look at these videos. I put a GoPro. I run it the whole time, and I do it mostly so that I can look at it because the
Hmm.
things you think and the things that actually happened,
Ain't the
a lot of
same.
times they don't come. Yeah, they're not the same.
Not the
But
same.
in hindsight, I look at it and I'm just so grateful to actually have the experience to do this, and it was a really good tournament.
Yeah.
I would not
Yeah.
have told you that on Monday last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
that's real, but that's valid though, Barty, because that's exactly what happens. That stuff I was talking about, like after a tournament, like you gotta your brain, all those dopamine hits from making all
Yeah.
those decisions and cortisol from disappointments and all that stuff. Like there's real chemistry that's happening in your body. You can't really see reality. Like have like hindsight 2020. Like that's not just a cliche, dude. That's real. You can't see it in the real time. Your body is doing too many crazy things. And then after that stuff levels back out to just normal Brian Barty levels, you can start to see and think clear, like, oh shit, I was actually on it. I just had to just calm down a little bit. You can't see that. You just get better at it as you go on. You can't see that in the beginning. You just can't. You just can't do it. And it's not like you're not wrong, you're not doing something wrong, you're not dumb. It's just a part. That's the learning process of fishing. That's what tournament fishing is. That's what that's why some guys are better than others. It's not because of lures and rods and reels and sponsorships and boats and trolling motors. It's this guys has figured out a formula to manage that better than other people.
Yep.
Some guys are better at managing that than other people. That's all it is. That is I probably wanted to sound more difficult, but they figured out a formula to managing the cortisol hits. Let's just call them that. It sound real clinical in here. They figured out a formula to managing all that stuff better than some of the rest of us. And so the stars align for them better more often. That's what it is. And so it's gonna feel like you're doing it wrong and you're not, man. That's all I can tell you. I know you want this to be like way more technical and way more, even people listening, I know you probably want it to sound way more, I don't know, just cool. And
I don't.
I just know if you can just get that part and just realize like, no, this is a stack. Right? You
Yeah.
got stack. It's like Jenga. Like you got stack one now. The next tournament you get another stack. The next tournament, you get another stack. Every time you get closer and closer and closer. Just keep stacking it. Just keep stacking it. Every tournament is a stack. Every single one of them. You're gonna figure out this other part though, like if you hadn't already. You already know what you fish good at. You know what lures you're good at already. We already crossed that bridge. Already got that part. Um, did we have any? I want to see. Was there anything we need to address in the comments here, Michael? I don't see. I've been watching
I,
outside my eye here.
I think I haven't seen too many.
Okay.
I was just thinking, Barty, can you share more about your boat issues? Any lessons learned there, just from the practical equipment side of things? You said you broke a prop or
Who,
something.
me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, that got in my head too. You know, I love that new boat. It's great. It's wonderful. There's one problem with it. It's new to me. And
Scared to do
so,
stuff with it. Yeah.
well, not, and I don't, not a little bit of that, but it's more figuring it out, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah.
So
That's
I had a graph go break like literally the week before. Um, I just had a battery die in it. Just like my other boat, I had it for a few years, you know, I had it for a few years and it was like I could get in it and I knew it.
you know it.
It's
Yeah.
and here it's almost like everyone has that rod. You know that rod that's been with you for a while
Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
trust it because you use it and you know, yeah, that eye's messed up, but it
Yeah.
still works. I know I can get a same deal with the boat. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had a
So,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say something breaks and you know where it is before you even open up a hatch.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I know.
And this one, I'm getting there. I'm pretty much there now. And I was mostly there with the Potomac, but it was still, you know, that was the first big body of water. It's, you know, under 10 hours on the motor. Um, just little things, but yeah, all in all, it was um, again shallow. I saw 5 boats there that were stuck in the mud.
Really? I've never
Yeah,
seen one stuck.
it was such a low tide that yeah, there were
Yeah.
people just blowing mud out,
Yeah,
you know, and it's
when that wind gets blowing, like I said, it was less than 2 feet over at Belmont. So that wind blew that tide out early in the morning. And I think a lot of people pre-fished in areas and thought they were fine, and it changed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes it hard. It really does make it hard. Because a lot of times like we said, you especially at Potomac, you're relying on one or two places. And when that don't work out, I was like, oh man, I got no water. What do you want me to do now? That's hard. That's really hard.
it's interesting. One
Uh,
other thing, just when you were saying something before, and so I chipped the prop. I didn't break the prop
yeah,
on the
yeah.
trolling motor.
Okay.
So it's no big deal. I mean, I
Which trolling motor do you
it's
have?
so Ghost. That
Okay,
prop
I
on the
got
Ghost
that one too.
sucks, man.
Yeah.
Those props. If you have a Ghost, buy a prop and put it in your boat.
I got
You're
two
gonna need it.
extras.
Yeah,
I got two extras. Yeah.
exactly.
Because you can break two
But
in one day, by the way.
oh, I literally sheared one in Florida. It it broke
Hmm.
in the hub, and so
Yeah.
when I pulled the throttle motor up, the only thing left was the hub.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, but when I was fishing good grass, and I knew it was good grass because Ken and I found it, and we caught fish. And in looking at that video, what happened is there was a lull, and when that lull happened, it got in my head.
Oh
And there
yeah.
was and I and if I would have just moved out, right, and moved around in that grass, I would have came in probably with 5 fish. But it got
Yeah.
in my head because there was a lull. But
Good. Good that you
so
see that. You hold on to that because it's gonna happen again.
yeah.
Like hold on to that exactly what you just said. That like hold guard that thought right there with
Mhm.
everything in you. Like remember that because it's gonna happen again. And it might even be the same body of water. Like that situation is something that will occur over and over and over and over and over. So yeah, hold on to that thought right there. Guard that one. That experience. Remember exactly what that felt like when you look back at that. I do that too because like I edit most of my tournament videos. It's a chore, but I've got a lot of value out of that, out of editing term, because you see like, oh God, I was flying through that, or gosh dang it, if I would have just made one more pass, or you see that stuff.
I'm just going to echo that because as I'm in my stage of fishing, right, and this tournament thing's new 4 years or so. Watching those videos, you can never have that experience. Like you
Yeah,
can't have that experience. I should have went through that one more time, and I even
yeah,
did
yeah,
with Potomac because I went through a rock area, and I look at that and I go, I should have done that 5 times,
yeah. You can do it,
right? And
yeah, because
in,
especially on
yeah,
Tidal River,
Yeah.
because it's not the same an hour ago. 45 minutes, not even the same, especially on Tidal River.
For what
Definitely,
it's
yeah.
definitely.
worth, coming from the Strike Fighter community, Fighter Pod, there's a reason they put cameras and recording devices in everybody's fighter jets. The value of the debrief is that's what makes all the difference.
Like what sport, since we love to compare bass fishing to every other sport, literally every sport reviews footage.
Yep.
Every sport. My son races motocross. They watch video footage. They're doing football. They're doing basketball. They're doing NASCAR. They're doing everything. They review footage. They study moves.
There,
So
there's things that I've caught that I was able to fix. And you talk about that stacking thing. So think about this:
yeah.
before you had video cameras that you could just throw in the back of your boat and run all day, right?
Right.
That's an accelerator. And for
Yeah.
me, it's like I'm trying to find all of those little accelerators to get that stacking to
Yeah.
happen quicker,
It's more
right?
stacked. More
But there's
stacked.
these little things that I've found where, I don't just a bunch of them, but one of them I had a fish on. I was going for the net. The pole hit the windshield,
Yeah.
just touched the windshield, and it was enough that I saw the pole straighten out. Fish is off,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Yeah.
just those little things you can pick up that I was like, man, that's
Yep.
worth it.
It is. It was very much so worth it. The footage is a bit. I'd encourage anybody to do that. Casual fisherman, anybody. Study your mechanics, your hook set. Listen, your hook set does not look like what it feels like, buddy. You see them hook sets on camera, you're like, oh my God, good buddy, what am I doing? You really get to see your mechanics, and it'll help you tighten up on that stuff if you watch it on film versus because it doesn't. You're not looking like what you think you look like. You think you look like Kevin Van Dam out there setting the hook. No, no, you look like Richard Simmons. You know, you look like Richard Simmons out there when you set the hook. You don't like what you think you look like. So that video footage helps a bunch.
Well, yeah. You also
Um,
see you getting a bite when you're not paying attention.
yeah, did you
Yeah.
really, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you see how you react. And like you said, it's Richard Simmons time.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. You do Richard Simmons when you do that. Yeah, exactly. That's
All right.
exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
So the next one is St. Lawrence. Y'all told me,
St.
or is
It
Lawrence
that right?
River,
is, yeah,
July the what?
12th.
July 12th. I'll be up there at the end of July, I think.
you're up
Something
there
like
2
that.
weeks after.
2 weeks after. It'll be
Yeah.
good.
They
It'll be.
still have openings in that. I can sign up. I was
Oh,
thinking about signing up and fishing with you.
you could 1,000%. All of them have openings.
Yeah.
All of them have openings. Yeah, they'll take your money the day of.
Exactly.
Now you won't be able to fish the BFL and that. I'm not sure because I think you'll be violating the off limits.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
possible.
Yeah.
think look at
Yeah.
look at it and see. I think you'll violate
I,
the
I
the
don't have
off
this.
limits.
I don't have the 3 grand anyway, so or whatever it
Yeah,
is. I'll pass.
yeah. It's how about no 56 something. It's 56
Oh, that's
something.
what it is. You're right. Yeah, it's 50, 50. Yeah, 55. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
expensive. Yeah.
Trust me. 56 something. No,
Yeah,
give
yeah,
them the other $100 and something dollars. It's 56 something unless
yeah.
you write them a check
Yeah.
or send them cash. Which I don't know what I would love. I'm gonna do that one day and show up with cash and see what they do.
Yeah.
Just see what they do since they're like either cash or check. I'm gonna
Yeah.
show up with 5,500 cash and just see what happens, just to surprise them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's by the time they do their credit card processing thing, it's
Mm,
56 something something. I know very well. Call there every month for that.
mhm.
Um, Listen, guys, I'm proud of y'all. Glad y'all are representing us out there on tournaments. Just keep stacking
Hey,
those
Brian.
tournaments. Wait, yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. I just wanted to go one more thing when you talked about defining success. Um, so as far as me, I wanted to get an limit, and I got 2 out of 3. So
Yep.
that is a statistical, success that I was looking at, and so that's a drive for me, and that's a drive for me to continue to get. I wanted to get a limit. So I don't think that those are bad. I'm not defining it as a negative at all. I want that desire that I always want to get 3. So I want that.
Right.
But the other part that I felt I was very thankful and very proud of myself that I caught myself being stressed in the first hour and a half and
Hmm.
realizing I just needed to calm down. I just needed to breathe. I just needed to be confident in my fishing. And then I
It's
caught a
good
fish.
awareness.
So I will tell you that's taken a couple of years, even in the club fishing. It's taken me a couple of years to realize that I am getting stressed. And I just saw it like 2 weeks ago in another boater. He had an engine problem. He had a trolling motor issue. He broke a rod. And guess what? He's a very good fisherman, and he didn't catch any fish after that because his attitude was really bad. And
It
that
can throw
really
your rod
dawned
off.
on me that I'm like, his attitude is affecting his fishing. Even though mechanic wise, you wouldn't see it.
Right.
But I knew it was affecting his fishing because I was catching fish. And I was like, he should be catching fish. So I was proud that I caught myself in that first hour and a half and calmed myself down and just started fishing. And when you talk about, I felt I was adaptive. I went from Barty, it spoils you. It's like a Rolls Royce boat. I'm out there. I got all kinds of room in the back. I got my own storage bucket. I got
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, I'm back there relaxed. I'm enjoying life. And then I get on this little guy's boat where I can bear my feet are sticking over the boat when I'm sitting in the
Yeah.
chair fishing. So like I said, that stressed me out. But then I relaxed and I said, it's just fishing. It's the same rod. It's the same lure. Just throw it in the water. Do the same thing. It doesn't matter what boat we're in.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's my
that's good
little,
awareness. That's
yeah,
good awareness to be able to bring yourself down. That definitely happens. I
right,
mean, if I can interject my own story here, I had that at Pickwick 2 weeks ago. My trolling motor quit within the first hour. And this is one of those tournaments where I was on them. Like I knew I was on them. Sometimes it doesn't bother you as bad if you're like, well, I wasn't really gonna catch them anyway. If I did, it was gonna happen today. Like, no. But it like Matt Robertson say, I needed a hat and a jersey. It was like, I am on them, son. Got them. Heavyweight, like I'm on them. I get there in the first hour, my trolling ain't working. I had to make several phone calls to get that figured out. And hour and a half later, I got it going. I was able to salvage the day. But for an hour and a half, I was a real pissy person.
yeah,
And it just throws off your vibe. And that's all valid though. When stuff is going wrong, I allow myself permission to just be pissed off for a little while.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't like I'm gonna get over it, but for a minute, I'm gonna cuss. I'm gonna say a lot of bad words. I'm gonna show my butt a little bit for about 15 minutes. But when it's over, it's over. I'm gonna go back to business. But I do try to allow myself time to because you done put in so much work. Why would you not be mad? You'd almost be like if you weren't mad, I'd say you're probably a psychopath or serial killer.
yeah,
You just swiped those doggone card for $5,600, and you done built boats and made videos and doing this and hiring people to do this and doing that, and then you come to the tournament and then you find the fish and you bought all this gas and you did all this and then now your trolling motor. It was a $20 part in my trolling motor. That's why my boat's not here now. $20 part in my trolling motor needed fixed. And it was all like $10,000 trip is ruined over $20. I'm pissed. Anybody would be pissed about that. So I think those feelings are valid. Now, what we, how we process that, get over it, I think is what I want to get better and better at. So I'll have the moments, man. I ain't gonna tell you, it's gonna be a lot of editing gonna be in that Pickwick video day one. A lot of stuff I gotta cut out, cause buddy, it was ugly. It was ugly for an hour or so. It's a good thing I was on the boat by myself, because people don't know how unhinged your boy can get when I have to. I can get a little country hood to start coming out a little bit. You don't be so proper when things are going bad. It ain't as proper. So I think all that's valid. It's good awareness though, that you could pull that back in and say, hey man, let me just take a minute and breathe. That's really good awareness.
That's one
All right.
thing. I just want to say, being able to get over those things is part of tournament fishing. Like, you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
be able to get over those things. I mean, I just fished a tournament
100%.
yesterday, and the battery went on Friday, right? So
Yeah.
Saturday I'm fixing the battery and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. I had a battery and trolling motor issue. Battery issues, they really ticked me off. Really ticked me off. Great job, guys. We'll get ready to do shut this one down. Of course, if there's anything that comes up in the meantime, y'all reach out to me. And y'all got my number. We can do it on the live. A lot of times I like to share this. I think it's good information for everybody. So let's definitely do that. One little housekeeping thing. I'm actually going to be traveling on Friday. So I'd like to move that midday live to either Wednesday or Thursday, if that's cool with y'all. Or I could even move it to like Sunday. Well, we don't usually do much on the weekends. I like to let y'all fish on the weekends and not mess with you much. Then we usually do we have a round table on Wednesday? I think we got a round table on Wednesday. Or no, we moved them to Thursdays. We moved them to Thursday. So maybe we'll just cover it on Thursday. Maybe you might get a double dose on Thursday. You might get a 12 and an 8. I'm not sure yet. But I do know I'm gonna be traveling on Friday. So I don't trust that I could do it on Friday. Of course I could possibly, but I just, man, every time I try to move around with technology, it really wants to show us butt then. So I'd rather move it to either Wednesday or Thursday. So we may do that. Appreciate y'all being willing to share everything, your tournament experience here. We'll do it again for this next one. Couple things. Registration for the online tournament should be a link in the community section. I'll pin one tonight. If y'all want to be in the tournament, go ahead and register. Registration ends June 16th. I'm going to do from June, or was it June 15th or June 16th? I don't know. Just follow the post. Don't count on me there. You'll get an email about it here soon. This is the straight up fishing classes that we have where you can qualify for the championship at the end of the year. So do that. What else do you have coming up in the app? Oh, we're going to sponsor 3 more people for that second tier of the sponsorship program. That's going to start in June. So I'm just watching the community section. Y'all post up. That's all I got to say. Like, if you ain't there, I don't see you. Like, if you're not in the community, you're not in the community. Like Kevin Van Dam told Mike Iaconelli that time, not a part of the community. If you should have been here. Should have been on the lives. You should have been posting. You should have been sharing. So we're gonna pick 3 more people. I got some new things I want to do with you guys. I may even include Nathan and Ricky Taylor, for our other 2 guys on this too. Thank y'all. If you got anything that you put it in the Ask B Lab, we'll film a podcast if nothing else with it. Y'all have a good rest of your night. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it.
Hey, Belat, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate this.
Thank you. I'm glad y'all are part of this. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, man. See you guys.
All right. You have a good night.
All right.
See you.